The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense Intelligence update on Ukraine, May 30, 2023. On May 25, 2023, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute reported that Russian military spending grew by 9.2% in 2022 to $86.4 billion. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute assesses this equates to 4.1% of Russia's gross domestic product. Russia's true military spending is highly uncertain due to the increased use of classified budget lines, especially since February 2022, and the lack of transparency. Russia has only recently resumed publishing headline expenditure breakdowns after suspending this in May 2022. It is almost certain that military spending remains elevated, and this is putting pressure on Russian government finances. The Air Force Command of Ukraine Armed Forces update. On the night of May 30, 2023, from 11:30 p.m. to 4:30 a.m., Russia launched Iranian attack drones Shahed 136, 131. In total, 31 kamikaze drone launches were recorded from the north and south of Ukraine. The Air Force, in cooperation with the air defense of other components of the Defense Forces of Ukraine, destroyed 29 attack unmanned aerial vehicles. Almost all 29 drones were hit on the approaches to the capital of Ukraine and in the sky of Kyiv. The Institute for the Study of War Russian Offensive Campaign Assessment. Russia claimed that Ukraine conducted a series of drone strikes against Moscow on May 30th as Russia again targeted Ukraine with Iranian-made Shahed drones. The Russian Ministry of Defense accused Ukraine of attacking Moscow with 8 drones on the morning of May 30th, and claimed that Russian forces shot down 5 of the drones and suppressed 3 drones with electronic warfare systems. Russian propagandist Vladimir Soloviev, however, claimed that Ukraine launched 32 drones, of which some targeted the prestigious neighborhood of Rublyovka in Moscow Oblast. A Russian independent outlet claimed that the drone strikes predominantly targeted areas near Russian President Vladimir Putin's residence in Novo, Ogaryovo, and other elite neighborhoods in Moscow Oblast. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin stated that several buildings in Moscow suffered minor damage, and Russian sources amplified footage of a minor explosion in the Novaya Moskva neighborhood. A Russian military blogger claimed that drones flying over Moscow resembled Ukrainian attack drones. Geolocated footage shows Russian forces shooting down drones identified as Ukrainian by open-source intelligence accounts in several different areas of Moscow and Moscow Oblast. Ukrainian presidential aide Mikhailo Podolyak denied that Ukraine was directly involved in the drone strike, but forecasted that there could be an increase in such attacks in the future. Today's key takeaways: Russian forces conducted another series of strikes against Ukraine with cruise missiles and Iranian-made drones overnight on May 28th to 29th, and during the day on May 29th. Russia deployed more S-400 air defense systems, probably at least a battery, to Belarus on May 28th. Former Russian Deputy Minister of Defense for Logistics, Colonel General Mikhail Mizintsev, confirmed that he is now operating as Deputy Commander of the Wagner Group. Wagner Group financier Yevgeny Prigozhin denied former Russian officer Igor Girkin's May 27 accusation that Prigozhin could stage a military coup against the Kremlin by arguing that Wagner lacks the personnel needed to start a coup. Russian forces conducted limited ground attacks northeast of Kupiansk and along the Svatov-Kreminna line. The tempo of Russian offensive operations in and around Bakhmut remains notably low. Russian forces continued limited offensive operations along the Avdiivka-Donetsk city front, particularly focusing on Marinka. Russian forces conducted limited ground attacks in western Donetsk Oblast and are expanding fortifications in Mariupol. Russian sources claimed that Russian forces repelled limited Ukrainian reconnaissance in-force operations in Zaporizhia Oblast. The Russian military command appears to be introducing doctrinal organization to some of its irregular formations. Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a law on May 29 that will further strengthen the martial law regime in occupied areas of Ukraine. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko is likely not hospitalized as of May 29.